Welcome back, True Seeker. It is Monday, May 13th, 2024, and want to go over some of the top headlines today. Of course, one of the big stories, Michael Cohen, his testimony today in the New York versus Trump case. We'll talk about that. We'll go back and look at when he was first sentenced years ago when he supposedly went to prison. We'll talk about why the Baltimore Bridge came down on this date, the 13th day of the 5th month, 13/5. You might recall, and we covered its collapse on March 26th. We talked about a number of things, including the number 135 and why it mattered that it came down 135 days after the Superior General's birthday and what that had to do with Joe Biden's infrastructure bill. So we'll cover that. We're going to talk about what's funny about Taylor Swift giving this big nod to Travis Kelce Sunday, May 12th. It's a date that had a lot to do with football. It comes at the time the NFL is releasing its season schedule where her boyfriend, Travis Kelce, what do I call him? Yeah, that is his name, Travis Kelce. Taylor Swift, their names are so similar. But Kelce, now that I think about it, just like Kelce, I'm used to that being a girl's name, Kelce. It's a last name, though, in this case. But anyway, why it matters that she did this on the 133rd day of the leap year. Of course, the NFL was born on the 133rd birthday of the Constitution, which is September 17th, which is Patrick Mahomes' birthday. And we'll talk about why it matters that Taylor Swift, her birth numerology breaks down to 133, which also breaks down to 7. And again, last year we were showing how she was all tied in with the NFL season all throughout the year. Her name in Gematria is 104, like it was the 104th season. We're going to see how the trend continues with the latest. It's funny that Melania's in the headlines today. We'll get to why that is. Ice Cube is also in the headlines weighing in why he thinks people are going to vote for Trump. And then, sadly, another death in the headlines, saxophonist David Sanborn. We're going to talk about what's curious about his passing at age 78 on a Sunday. We've seen this with some celebrities, including John Thompson, the first black coach to win the college basketball championship with Jesuit Georgetown. But yeah, let's start right here with Michael Cohen. And one second. I want to check something real quick. Make sure our settings are good. Okay. Yeah, we are on the right audio setting. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're good. Okay, Michael Cohen today on the stand. So if you're new here, very important number pattern is 263 and 56. 263 is the 56th prime number. Again, huge number with this nation's history. 56 signers on the Declaration of Independence, up through a million things more, bringing us to today. And we just saw this pattern in a big way when the bridge came down in Baltimore on 26/3, the bridge with 56 meters of clearance. Nancy Pelosi's birthday. Of course, in Gematria, Nancy Pelosi equates to 56, like Washington, D.C. Very common number there. Right now, we're in the time of the 56th Speaker of the House. Mike Johnson equals 56. He's the Speaker, number 56. But yeah, Michael Cohen in court on his 263rd day of his age, the 56th prime, a very special number to the Jesuits who set up their stronghold in Washington, D.C. Of course, their founder died in 1556, Ignatius of Loyola. But yeah, if you're new here, just very familiar pattern. So Michael Cohen in court on this day. And just to go back in time, this post is from December 12, 2018. It was the day Michael Cohen was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Just to show you, that day had numerology breaking down to 62 and 35, which also breaks down to 8. In Gematria, Fixer. He's commonly referred to as Trump's fixer, Michael Cohen, his former lawyer. But Fixer has Gematria 62 with the alphabetic order and 35 with the alphabetic order in numerology. Again, every day just educating about news by the numbers, familiar patterns. It was 110 days after Michael Cohen's birthday that he was sentenced. Sentencing equals 110. He faced his sentencing that day. Notice there are 4 base ciphers if you're new here, the English language, the alphabetic order with numerology, the reverse alphabetic order with numerology. You can see that sentencing has that Gematria 52, has overlap with president in 3 of the 4 ciphers, and he was 52 years old at the time. Other words that equal 52 are government, White House. I just say now Nancy Pelosi equals 56. If you run it the other way, Nancy Pelosi equals 52. She was the 52nd Speaker of House. Both her and Gavin Newsom, both Jesuits. Gavin Newsom and Nancy Pelosi both equal 52 and 56. California also equals 52, where they've had their political careers, Newsom and Pelosi. There's so many people like this in Washington, D.C. Again, you just learn this code and you start to see the way the stage is set. The world is a stage. And Donald Trump was an actor like Ronald Reagan, who ran on Mega, and they're both so involved with walls. And then the ritual with Donald Trump being called president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall when Ronald Reagan said tear it down. But anyway, Cohen got 3 years in prison, and I was just pointing out back then just the relationship with 3 and 56. You know, this was years before Super Bowl 56, where we love number 3, Odell Beckham, whose name equals 56, born on the day, leaving 56 days left in the year to score the first touchdown, and he did. We loved it to be a 3-point game, and the spread was 3.5. There's a lot of things about 3 and 56. If you spell out 3 as a word, it equals 56. If you spell out light as a word, it equals 56. In the Bible, the third verse is where God makes light. There are 3 Abrahamic religions. Abrahamic equals 56. You run it the other way, Abrahamic equals 187. The Abrahamic religions are based in the 187 chapters of the Torah. But the Washington, D.C., the big way is 187 as well, just like George Washington, like Holy Roman Empire, like Society of Jesus. Society of Jesus is 56, the small way, like Washington, D.C., 187, the big way. Just big numbers in that town. Trump had his convention in 2016 on 18/7 was inaugurated 187 days later. The whole pandemic was 56. It started 56 years after Trump's Jesuit education. So anyway, just when Michael Cohen was sentenced and a million other things. I mean, before then, up to now, just there's been a lot of rituals documented with Michael Cohen. So today, back in court, in that 56 DC pattern, just like we were writing about. And that post was back in 2018. We were writing about this pattern all the way back to 2013. Okay, so CNN today, they give you this story on the bridge being torn down in Baltimore. And in the short story, they tell you how the crew's been on the boat the whole time. So they're anxious to get moving. But notice how they give you a 48-second story. And today is 48 days after the March 26th collapse. And the story is that they were going to do this yesterday, Sunday, which would have been 47 days after the collapse of the 47-year-old bridge that was reportedly falling into a 47-degree river that day, as the media had to tell you. If you're new here, 47 is a number abused in the news. News equals 47. On the shot we were just looking at a moment ago, you saw how government's 47. Authority 47, president's also 47, like White House. The letters DC are 47. It's a big time number ultimately as well. It's a time authority number is 47. But they said it was supposed to be yesterday, so they move it to today, 48 days later. And again, this was synced with the Superior General, as we talked about when it happened. The Superior General was born in 48, the same year Israel was born. And again, if you guys missed it, the bridge in Baltimore came down on Nancy Pelosi's 84th birthday, and then the Golden Gate Bridge was stopped on Paul Pelosi's 84th birthday. Of course, 84 is the reflection of 48. But Nancy Pelosi's father died at age 84, and he had the same birthday as Francis Scott Key, and this was the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Again, I'm trying to get to the symbolism of why they've done this. Again, Francis Scott Key wrote the national anthem. The anthem for the nation. This nation's a changing. We're paying the bills for other nations and letting our nation just fall apart. We got old infrastructure. We got old people in politics, old Catholic relics from Nancy Pelosi to Joe Biden. But yeah, if you missed everything we talked about with the bridge, there's so many things to know about this. And 135 was an important one because we talked about how from the leader of the Jesuits' birthday, Arturo Sosa, born November 12th, 48, from his birthday in 2023 to the collapse was 135 days later. And big Bavaria number, big Central Intelligence Agency number. Bavaria is where the Illuminati was founded. Illuminati has that gematria 48. Again, the Illuminati is not a joke. George Washington wrote his letter about his concerns about the Illuminati when he was president. Look into the National Archive, it's there. But yeah, the day that happened, they were referencing the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which equals 135. That's Joe Biden's Infrastructure Act. Biden spoke about it that day, the day of the collapse. And I know I got it here somewhere in the post. Hold on. Where's it at? So right here, you can see Golden Gate Bridge has that 135 as well. And again, Nancy Pelosi from Baltimore, that bridge collapsed in Baltimore on her birthday, always governed in the Bay Area. And then we were talking about this day it happened. And next thing you know, it's Paul Pelosi's birthday, and the pro-Palestinian marches have the Golden Gate shut down. And again, the Golden Gate relates to Temple Mount. I'll pull that up as well, actually. But yeah, if you missed the work on that bridge collapse, go back and catch at least some of it. There were some rituals that happened right after, one down in Oklahoma with their bridge. And I was pointing out how one of the first people CNN had on the day the March 26th bridge collapse happened to talk about it was the Oklahoma City Federal Building chief bombing inspector in 95, which was a huge federal cover-up. It's like, oh, what a perfect guest to bring on to talk about another obvious lie and deception straight from the Jesuit cabal. But see if I can get this here. Paul Pelosi, his birthday was April 15th. And what was so interesting about the, again, the Golden Gate. Is this not the right post? Shoot, I should have had this post up. This is not the right one. You can see this is Nancy Pelosi's father, though, who died at 84. Born August 1st, just like Francis Scott Key. Let me see if I got this right. Is it Temple Mount? Temple Mount. Yeah, Temple Mount is 154, right? And again, there is a Golden Gate entrance that was shut down to the Palestinians years ago at Temple Mount. So now you have this pro-Palestinian march on 15/4, like Temple Mount 154. In the time of number 46. Again, there's a lot to it, but just realize all of this stuff is high ritual, super repetitive number patterns. 84, if you're new here, in light of it being Pelosi's 84th birthday, and Paul Pelosi's 84th birthday, and her father dying at 84, and not Francis Scott Key, but Salvador Dali dying at 84 because his painting, The Broken Bridge and the Dream, was compared to what the Baltimore Bridge looked like that was taken out by the Dali, a Singaporean ship, when Nancy Pelosi shook hands with the Singaporean leader on Francis Scott Key's birthday 86 weeks earlier, and then it came down on the 86th day of the year, meaning it got 86th, and Key Bridge equals 86 in Gematria. Again, there's a lot more to it. Came down at 1:28 in the morning, 128 days before Francis Scott Key's birthday anniversary, August 1st, when bridge collapses 128. But yeah, I mean, there's a ton to it. I just want to make the point. We were talking about these Illuminati parallels from the beginning because the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuits. They're this thing that we're warned about, both the Illuminati and the Jesuits in the founding part of the country. Over time, the nation's capital moved to D.C., where the Jesuits were and are, and just everything else that we talk about all the time. It's just, again, the Jesuits gave us the calendar, the language, so you got to know who's pulling the strings. Otherwise, there's no point in knowing the information, really, unless you're understanding who's doing it, who needs to be stopped. And again, for now, out there, we're like, why do they need to be stopped? Because, again, they just create another huge tax bill for all of us. And they do this on the daily, instigating problems that they make us pay for, that they lie to us about every day. Oh, just another accident. Oh, it was terrorists in caves. Oh, we thought it was going to be worse than actually. We thought the jab was going to be better than it was. Just nothing but excuses from this gang as they dupe us one day at a time, one number ritual at a time. Let me see. So yeah, this 13/5 day, again, just connects with Golden Gate Bridge, connects with the founding place of the Illuminati, connects with the CIA that was established in a huge Jesuit ritual, like the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, May 1st, 1776, 64 days before America's birthday, like the spaces on a chessboard, like it's one chess move at a time. But yeah, Illuminati has the Gematria 48. And again, not only is it 48 days later, they got to give you the 48-second story, CNN. And by the way, the other big parallel that's going on here is Baltimore, home to Edgar Allan Poe. Remember, his death anniversary was highly symbolic this year, the number count that it was. And you had a huge ritual with the Baltimore Ravens that weekend, the weekend of his 174th death anniversary. But the war with Israel and Gaza began on Edgar Allan Poe's death anniversary. And this 48 thing reminds me, because you blow up bridges in war. And this is like an international thing, right? A Singaporean ship. I mean, you start to think about it, you're like, oh, I do kind of see how all the chess pieces are there for the symbolism. Everything's about this world order. Right? They took down the World Trade Centers in the high ritual, an obvious ritual on 9/11. Just couldn't be any more obvious. Oh, look, we're back in the same war that the other Bush was in. It's all just a coincidence. Oh, the election overturned in the state where his brother was. His brother's the 43rd governor. He becomes the 43rd president. Their daddy was the 43rd vice president. Yale equals 43, where the Skull and Bones fraternity is that they were members of, the two presidents. Anyway, the 48 thing is interesting because, again, the superior general is born in 48, like Israel, and World War in Gematria equates to 48 as well. Israel came out of the World Wars. It was written up in the Balfour Declaration in the time of World War I. And then after the conclusion of World War II, it was drawn up as a nation by the United Nations in 47 on September 3rd. And then it was made a nation May 14th, 48. And tomorrow's the 76th birthday of Israel. And you know what's interesting about that? San Francisco has that Gematria 76, like what they just did with OJ at age 76 from San Francisco on the 101st day of the year when the Golden Gate Bridge is Route 101. Don't forget what they did to OJ. It was sick. He died 59 days after the Super Bowl, and next year will be Super Bowl 59, and that's the number all over Black history. That's why Black History Month ends on the 59th day of the year in the Catholic calendar, and Motown came out in 59. Again, slave equals 59 forward, 76 in reverse, dead 59 days after the Super Bowl at age 76, but then also announced dead during the Masters when master equals 76, like slave. And again, Ephesians 6, 5 through 9 is about slaves, obey your masters. But yeah, in light of how it seems that they're syncing this up with what their shenanigans in Israel. Again, all of these nations, people don't get it. All of these colonies are the work of the Jesuit Catholic Church Illuminati network that, has been being built since even before the time of the Illuminati. Again, the Catholic Church building its world domination, creating secret societies to help them build their world domination. I wonder how much of the black budget for the military just goes to the Vatican. People behind the Vatican, the families you never hear about, like the Orsinis. But everyone who thinks the Rothschilds run the world, again, just laughable. They just got rid of that Rothschild like he was nobody, synced up with the Pope at age 87 while the Pope lives on at 87. Ignatius of Loyola, 87, like the Catholic Church. Again, the original bankers, Templars, the church. But, San Francisco, 76. Israel turns 76 tomorrow. Sweaty Mark Zuckerberg goes around with the secret Facebook hoodie, with the Star David on the inside. He's out there in the Bay Area, big tech. The Talpiot program in Israel. It's the Brandon O'Connell thing that he's always focused on. But, it's not an accident that you get the 48-second story and 48 days later. And it does kind of make sense why they ended up delaying it today to 13/5. They made it seem like they're going to do it yesterday on a Sunday in the 47 ritual, like Israel drawn up in 47. And by the way, Henry Kissinger, who died recently, remember, time flies, but maybe not even 5 years ago, Henry Kissinger made the remarks that are sometime around now that he saw Israel getting relocated to Ukraine. And for people to understand why that would be, again, it's because Ukraine, Russia is where Ashkenazi Jews come from. And those are the Ashkenazi Jews are the ones that got moved to Israel because of the Nazis, modeled after the Jesuits. And remember, we approved $95 billion for Ukraine and Israel on Hitler's birthday, his 135th birthday. Let's not forget that either. It was Hitler's 135th birthday that we approved the $95 billion that was then passed on the 201st day of the war when Joe Biden signed off on it. And again, state of Israel equals 201, Donbass region 201. That's where the war began in Ukraine. And it began 201 days, or excuse me, Biden met Putin 201 days after the Ignatian year, first ever Jesuit Ignatian year began on Pearl Harbor Day, just before the war began. And then let's not forget about Alec Baldwin smoking the Ukrainian woman on the set of Rust in a big 201 ritual right before the war with Ukraine and Russia began. But yeah, the Jesuits were credited to counter the 95 Theses. The Jesuit number, their biggest number is 201. That's why the first Jesuit Pope is the first to live in Suite 201. Adolf Hitler's birth certificate name, Adolphus Hitler equals 201. So again, they send the $95 billion on the 201st day of the war. Baltimore, of course, has that Gematria 95. The Vatican's 95 years old right now. They just gave us the predictable opener. Another win for the Gematria community. We've been talking about for a while how it would make a lot of sense if the season opener would be the Chiefs versus Baltimore on 9-5, since Baltimore equals 95, and the Chiefs have a chance to beat Baltimore and become 9-5 against them all time in franchise history, which means Baltimore would fall to 5-9 versus the Chiefs in the year that ends with Super Bowl 59. But yeah, again, just year after year showing how all this stuff's connected. Remember, Baltimore equals 41 forwards, 58 in reverse. Mahomes got his 41st career road win, beating Baltimore to go to the Super Bowl, which equals 41, and then finished the game with 41 postseason passing touchdowns, which we had him down for. He needed 2 for the game to do it. And Baltimore equals 58 in reverse, like how Baltimore fall to 5-8 versus the Chiefs, who won Super Bowl 58 in the next game of the year, the Super Bowl. And as Andy Reid stayed on 58 losses with the team, and then this bridge came down 58 days after that AFC championship where Baltimore was eliminated on January 28th, 128, like how the bridge came down at 128 and bridge collapse equals 128 and Fern Hollow equals 128 and Pittsburgh, which came down when Biden was there on January 28th to talk infrastructure, which reminds Steelers is the Steel City, bridges, Mike Tomlin with the 174th career win, upsetting Baltimore one day after the 174th death anniversary of Edgar Allan Poe as the war breaks out when Baltimore Ravens equals 174. Like New World Order. Not saying that the Baltimore Ravens are the New World Order, but they're used symbolically. Like they were the last team to win a Super Bowl right before 9/11 happened, the biggest false flag of all time when false flag equals 174. And in a sense, the Baltimore Bridge was a smaller example of the same type of thing. It even looked like potentially demolitions were used to really take down the bridge at the exact perfect minute that it came down, supposedly because the dolly lost power and it was just one big accident. Yeah, it doesn't look like it when you have the knowledge of the Kabbalah that this cabal uses every day. Again, when people come here and look at these videos and say, what's the point of knowing this? You just know they're the product of the Illuminati and the cabal who have chemically dumbed down people, made them stupid in slave school. People have no critical thinking, people who don't know how to process information and just always need to be told what to do and what to think and put a slave muzzle on and jab this up your arm. And, you know, anyway, let's keep it moving because time is short. Yeah, if you want to read my post, there are some other things that are interesting here, but I'm going to leave it at that. That was enough information on the bridge collapse. So, okay, the Taylor Swift thing. Remember, her full name, Taylor Allison Swift, equates to 104. They synced up the whole 104th NFL season with her. And again, if you're new here, learn gematria and just pay attention, and you'll just see the rituals unfold day after day. We used Taylor Allison Swift so many times in this rigged NFL season to take advantage. But again, look this up. September 17th is the birthday of the Constitution. And from the day the Constitution was established to the day the NFL was founded was 133 years later. And that's interesting because football equals 133 and government equals 133. They both equal 133. Again, Patrick Mahomes, the face of the league right now, the star quarterback of the Chiefs, who throws to Taylor Swift's boyfriend, Travis Kelce, supposed boyfriend in the storylines. His birthday is September 17th. Taylor Swift's birthday is December 13th, 1989, a date with numerology of 133. With regards to 89, that's the 24th prime number. Mahomes got his 89th career win, winning the Super Bowl to start 24, getting the Chiefs their 24th all-time playoff win in that game, representing Missouri, the 24th state. Again, there's a lot of things that are interesting about Taylor Swift in light of the ritual they did with the Chiefs last year, but she's a perfect pawn for the ritual, just like Mahomes is, like Kelce is. They fit together. These people are chosen. Again, numerology, astrology, old world things that the cabal uses every single day. And that's also why in slave school, they kind of get us to learn that that stuff's old and stupid and meaningless. When in reality, it's not, because at the very least, the cabal's using it to manipulate all kinds of things every day, which you can take advantage of once you see the rig. Sorry, my throat got dry. So yeah, there are a lot of interesting things here. You know, for the first time I looked into her Eras tour, right? You know how the right wing was trying to make it seem like there's some kind of conspiracy with Taylor Swift and Joe Biden and the upcoming election. I didn't even really look into that because it just felt like they were just trying to make everything about Taylor Swift at all times, and it seems like it's chilled out a little bit now that the NFL season's, you know, over and her tour got underway and her album came out. Just a little bit of a break. Well, I mean, a little bit of a break. Here she is back as a top story today. But anyway, I hadn't looked into this Eras tour. It stood out to me that the number of shows is 152. Because remember, Joe Biden equates to 152, right? And remember, he became number 46 in just the right year where President's Day fell on 15/2, the 46th day of the year. But so that got my eyebrow up. And then I looked at when the tour ended, or actually also I noticed that this ritual she just had in France on the 133rd day of the year that's getting this attention in the media, it was her 152nd day of her age. That's interesting. Again, the Jesuits are from Paris, France. They run D.C. They control Jesuit Joe and Jesuit Trump. But notice how in the base ciphers you have a Joe Biden 64. Remember, he waited till Hawaii's 64th birthday as a state when Maui equals 64 to go there and speak after it all burned up. And Barack Hussein Obama is also 64, like civil rights. And Obama elected number 44 years after the Civil Rights Act. And his wingman, Joe Biden, also has the 44 Gematria. Anyway, the thing about 64 and 44 is the day that her tour ends, which is December 8th, 2024, pretty deep into the NFL season. You know, the playoff picture will be emerging around that time. And again, this is in the news as they announced the NFL schedule, but that date, it's sadly the date that we call the kill date for the month, but it's also a date that has the numerology of 64 and 44, which in this case connects with Joe Biden. So that day, the election's November 5th. So that means this day's 33 days after the election. So I'm thinking about this. I'm going to have to, I haven't had time to do a full investigation, but I'm going to be looking real carefully at the NFL schedule. Remember out 152, that the vice president right now is Kamala Devi Harris, 152. Female president equals 152. Wonder Woman equals 152. They kind of, for a while, Kamala was like a Wonder Woman until she became VP, and then she became just all of a sudden a buffoon, which just doesn't even make any sense. Like, what are they doing to these people? Did she get a lobotomy? But they treat Taylor Swift like she's a Wonder Woman too. So remember, Gerald Ford said in the Herbert Hoover Library that someday an old man will be president. He will die, and that's when we'll get our first female president, who'll be the female younger vice president. And he said that in the Herbert Hoover Library. And again, Kamala Harris was born on the exact same day that Herbert Hoover died. So we've been thinking this whole time that Joe's not going to finish his term. We've been thinking he might go as soon as June 1st of this year. There's something very specific around the time of June 1st this year, but June 1st is typically the 152nd day of the year. I think this year it's actually May 31st because it's a leap year. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to go that way. It's just we've been thinking this 152 is going to be the number that matters when Joe passes the torch to Kamala, if we're not mistaken about this. We're going off the prophecy of Gerald Ford. It just all made so much sense with this administration. So wouldn't that be so? Imagine that happened. Imagine Joe Biden actually wins re-election and then dies before Inauguration Day. We'll see if he replaced Kamala with somebody. It'd be funny if he replaced Kamala with Michelle. But yeah, there's other ways it could unfold, and I was saying that back then too. So I said, we'll see how it all plays out. But now I'm like, okay, this must be why the media was trying to draw this parallel between these two, because I hadn't investigated this at all until I just started to lead into it, just looking at today's story. So, Travis Kelce also has 44 in light of her tour ending on that date, December 8th, 128. Remember, a year ago on 2023. Or it'll be the 1-year anniversary. That's the day that the Obama film Leave the World Behind went live on Netflix, December 8th. And again, the 128th minute of that movie, the bridge is blown in New York City. There's mushroom clouds over New York City. So the 128, and then Joe Biden, the bridge collapsed in Baltimore on his 128th day of his age at 1:28 in the morning on Pelosi's birthday, 128 days before Francis Scott Key's birthday anniversary, which is also her father's birthday anniversary, and on and on and on. And you got to love how in Paris, France, the Jesuit stronghold, they got her on a Sunday. She's looking like Tiger Woods out there. She's doing that Tiger thing. Remember, Tiger Woods equals Jesuit order. Always wears this red and black on Sunday. But that band Muse, you should see the Muse concert that they have on the DVD set from 2013 in Italy. It's like I think it was from 201 days after the Pope took office, or maybe it's the 201st day. I got to go back and check, but they're all in red and black out there. I forget what song they open up with, but when you just really see it for what it is, you're like, God, look how these Jesuits, man, they are something else. They're smart as hell. They are evil geniuses. Look up the Muse concert from Italy in 2013. Just watch the opening set, the first song they perform, and just think about if they didn't write the song and it was more like from a ruling class that wrote the song and had them sing it. I think there's a lot of that in show business and entertainment. Okay, so Melania, I actually had a better write-up about this in the, oh God, I even have a typo here too. This is bad. I have a better, before this headline even broke today, I wrote about Melania and a bunch of things, 134, because it is the 134th day of the year as Trump's fixer takes the stand. But yeah, there's been a long list of 134 rituals with Trump. Make America Great Again, the small ways, 134. And Melania, the big ways, also 134. So is Jared Kushner. So is House of Cards, which was the hit show about the presidency when Trump, which are like tarot cards, was running for office. And there were so many parallels between what they were doing with Kevin Spacey's sex scandal and Trump's. Hold on, you guys. I got a sweet lady incoming call real quick. Okay. All right. Sweet lady's coming home. But yeah, the 134 list. Today, the 134th day of the year. One more time. Make America Great Again. House of Cards. Again, just said hit show in the time of Trump running the first time. Jared Kushner. Melania. I'm not doing the list justice. I'm forgetting too many things right now. Yeah, the other thing that's interesting about them taking down the bridge today, and okay. That also factors with why they took down the bridge today in Baltimore on the 134th day of the year. I've always explained that number has to do with destruction. That movie from years ago with Matt Damon, the one that's always with Ben Affleck, Boston guy, I think he is. But he's like supposedly on Mars, and he's like eating potatoes from his own turds. But on the 134th day, his farm blows up. And it's not an accident. There's just a long history of destruction with that number that goes well beyond Hollywood. Tisha B'Av has the Gematria 134 to remember the destruction of the temples. And again, where Israel is, Temple Mount, like what they just did, the ritual at the Golden Gate Bridge, Temple Mount is where some people want the Al-Aqsa Mosque to blow up so they can build the third temple there. Solomon's temple, Herod's temple, and the Jewish prophecy is that in the time of the third temple, that's when the Jewish Messiah will come. Essentially Jesus, because People who remain Jewish contend that Jesus was a fraud, a fake, a phony. He wasn't the real Messiah, which is why there's a little bad blood between the Abrahamic religions. But the Jews say, listen, you just glued your book onto the back of ours, and we do not accept your claim for Messiah. We are waiting to blow up Al-Aqsa Mosque. And most Jews don't want to blow up Al-Aqsa Mosque either, but some crazy ones do, and they even made a show about it called Dig if you want to look into that. And Dig is 8/11 here in the U.S. If you want to dig something, you dial 8/11. And 8/11 is a real special date, August 11th there in San Francisco, which has this parallel with the Golden Gate to Temple Mount. So again, we'll see the way it all plays out. We're following the path. We're trying to understand the cabal's puzzle. And anyhow, 134th day of the year, they had to get Melania in the headlines on the 134th day of the year. Melania just said, "Oh, when my husband was talking to Billy Bush about how he doesn't care if a woman's married, he'll just try to seduce him if he wants him, he'll take him shopping, he'll grab him by the pussy." Today she said, "Oh, that was just some locker room talk." That's going to make people love Trump even more. They're like, man, what a wife he's got. I wish I had a wife like that. Man, if I could just have affairs and just be out with porn stars and just grabbing women that pussy. And my woman just said, oh, just locker room talk. No, I mean, no, in a way, it's like you don't want to be with a woman like she'd be actually, let me take that back because maybe somebody is with a woman like that. It's just, a woman shouldn't have to be like that with her man, I don't think, unless those are just the unless those are the upfront expectations of the relationship. If like a woman's like, I don't care if you cheat on me all the time and just do whatever you want. Locker room talk. Some girls are like that. I take it back. But anyway, moving on. Ice Cube had to be in the news today talking about why he is voting for Donald Trump. And, today has 42 date numerology. And, of course, Ice Cube equals 42. That number stamped all over Black history. And I remember when I was a kid how Ice Cube was always, like, presented like this big badass. But I always thought of his rap name. I was like, why would he call himself Ice Cube? Like, ice cubes are easily broken. They melt. This guy probably wouldn't want to be in a rap battle. But anyway, on the 42 date numerology, Ice Cube, he's voting for Donald Trump. He must not have heard what Joe Biden said for the 59th election, because he said, if you don't vote for Joe Biden, you ain't black. Don't forget Obama's Secret Service name, Renegade, equals 59, like slave, Negro, blues, Rasta. R.I.P. OJ, 59 days after the Super Bowl. Slaves, obey your masters. Ephesians 6, verses 5 through 9. All right, one more thing, and then we got to wrap this up. R.I.P. to David Sanborn, famous saxophonist, dead at 78 on a Sunday. I have a number of documentations from celebrities that have died at 78 on Sunday. The one that I always come back to is the ritual that they did with John Thompson. There was a lot to it if you want to go back and look. But just in Gematria, both Sunday and Jesuit equal 78. You run it the other way, they both equal 84, like how John Thompson won it with Jesuit Georgetown in 84. Sunday and Jesuit both also equal 21. And, of course, they've totally dominated the 21st century. For the record, Bible is 21. 21 is the sixth triangular number. Man made on the sixth day. There's a reason for everything. The first Jesuit pope is born on Saturnalia when Saturn equals 21, and it's the sixth planet from the sun. But his name, David Sanborn, has that 201. David Sanborn, 201, like the Jesuit order. And then from his last birthday to his death was exactly 41 weeks. It just reminds me of how the Jesuit suppression lasted 41 years. Of course, USA equals 41, which is the 13th prime, going with the 13 stripes. But the USA was established in the time of the Jesuit suppression, and then it came out of suppression in the time of the only 201 president, James Madison, in a high holy Jesuit ritual. So, yeah, I see the 201 in this guy's name. I see the long history of me talking about Jesuit rituals on Sunday. Not that they're exclusive to Sunday, but this seemed a bit coincidental. The 41 fits in with their history. He also died 79 days before his birthday. Society of Jesus is 79, like murder, which has made O.J. Simpson a perfect murder character in their Murder, They Wrote story. His birthday was 7/9, July 9th, O.J. 7/9. So, yeah, I got to leave it there, though. Got to make sweet lady a little dinner. Got to take care of your sweet lady. By the way, it really is true. When women are pregnant, they really do glow. It's amazing. It's just like, I never seen her so glowy before. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that just like in a way, it's like I don't know. It life is so interesting. Dappa Dom says this information that you report, Zach, is most definitely spot on. My life has never been the same after you broke down Kobe's ritual. Truth matters. Well, I appreciate the compliment and your generosity, my friend. Thank you so much. And sometimes I'm probably wrong about things. I definitely some days act very wrong. Some days I'm just too angry. But yeah, I do appreciate the compliment and the support. So we'll leave it there, you guys. But by the way, if anybody would still like to help out somebody in need, thank you again to everyone who helped out Amy. You guys helped her out a ton. She still does have some debt, though, from all the unexpected big bills. Again, the medical emergency in her own life, the passing of her father, the funeral expenses. Again, if you got a Cash App, it's hashtag $Amy, AMY. C is in Charlie, T is in Tom, C is in Charlie. Amy CTC. Again, every dollar helps. If you just send her $1, trust me, it will keep adding up and eventually she will meet that mark. So shout out to Amy as well. And again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. And until next time, Truth Seeker. This is Amy, by the way. If you guys don't know Amy, check out her work. She does great work. Crack Their Code. That's her. Cracktheircode.org is our website. Crack Their Code, all one word like you see on the screen, is our YouTube channel. All right. Until next time, everybody.